Hey everyone, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And after a couple of, after just getting back from vacation, and everything that I've been doing, this week has kind of been it's really been picking up. Like these last 2 weeks have kind of been some of the busiest that I've had in a while. But um, regardless, we're just gonna take a little chill pill and and literally try to chill because it's pretty hot right now. But regardless, hope everybody's doing well. I know that there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening in and out of the industry, and we'll inevitably be talking about it in this episode. So we're just gonna jump right into the discussions that we have for today. So we have Miss Tara Jade Fox in the corner, and we're gonna be chatting about what's been happening, what's been going on, and recently with pretty much the strikes and everything else that's been happening going around in Hollywood and stuff. But we might talk about some other stuff that's fine. Because I guess we're gonna be focusing on business and then just get to the other stuff. But anyways, Tara, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Apologies for the rambling. That's just
Nope. I do it too.
what we that's just something that we do a lot. So if for anybody that's watching this, that's something that's pretty much it's normal. It happens way too often. But regardless, um yeah, so this is definitely off the cuff. So I guess the first question it's yeah, let's do a little bit of a let's see, a retrospective because I know we're kind of in July and we're kind of in the second half of 2023, which is insane. Like I
Totally
still can't
insane.
believe we're in the second half of the year. So give us a little quick rundown of everything that you've been up to. How has it been for you? And just have a little bit of an icebreaker because yeah, like what everything that you've been up to these days. Since we're kind
Mhm.
of still into this whole I don't know whatchamacallit for like 3 years. I don't know, but yeah, how's it been for you so
Yeah.
far? 2023.
2023. Yeah, is good. It's good. It's been a bit chaotic, kind of organized chaos, because you
Hmm.
have all the stuff that you do, and then all the stuff that comes in as you're going, and you try to find a way to juggle it all somehow and not drop all the balls. Which I learned how to juggle, by the way, for the first time a couple weeks ago on a set. So that's another fun fact. But no, 2023 is going absolutely great. Just lots of I'd say I've done lots of voiceover narration this year so far. I've done some video games. I've done some motion capture. I've done some stunt work, some feature films, and yeah, that's kind of, I guess, everything up to this point in a concise little nutshell. But yeah, so lots of fun, lots of projects, lots of training, um, lots of collaborating and trying to, learn new things and figure out what's going on with all the stuff in the industry. So it's a lot to keep track of.
Absolutely. And I know we've kind of talked a little bit before this, but just as a refresher, I'm just gonna try to avoid just the generic stuff like how did you get started, blah 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 blah. But
Yeah.
instead, what I will ask is like with this motion capture and
Mhm.
everything else that you've been doing, was that something that is kind of like, oh, it's been in your blood since you were a kid, or like you kind of just it kind of all fell into place later on? How would you describe like your little I guess journey, so to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah, well, motion capture specifically actually came to me during 2020. My manager called me up out of the blue and was like, "Hey, do you want to do a motion capture?" And I was like, "Absolutely! Research how to do motion capture."
Yeah.
And that took me down the deep dive.
So when like what month in 2020, just to keep track?
Oh gosh. If I were to guess, it was somewhere March, April, May. So it was like right after it happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
right after
so
the world
pretty
shut
much
down.
the beginning of
The beginning.
everything.
Of everything. Yeah, beginning of the end of
Yeah.
everything.
Oh boy,
Yes.
like, man, I
Yeah.
remember those times. Yeah, like it was just nuts. Remember when we were freaking out about like we don't have any toilet paper? Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go
Yeah.
back to those times, not gonna lie. No,
It is
I'm
a little funny.
serious. Like, I know, like it's terrible. Like, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Like, don't get me
Mm-mm.
wrong, but dude, the that whole frenzy was like, wow.
Unreal.
It was nuts. Like I was like, okay, maybe, if I needed a good laugh, yeah.
We got some good memes from
We
that
got
year,
some,
that's for
yeah, we
sure.
at least we
We got,
got like, there's some good that came out of it.
yes. Yes. Yeah, but as
But
far as
anyways, continue.
acting,
Yeah.
I would say as far as acting in general, I've kind of always done it. I grew up on stage, is basically what I say in a nutshell. I have, as a kid, I did tons of theater, musical theater, stuff like
Oh,
that.
the whole
So,
theta, the whole,
the
yeah.
theater, yeah, yeah. So I did a lot of that, and yeah, that's why I think motion capture really speaks to me because it lends to a physical actor. um, you have to use your whole body when you're acting in a volume versus, on screen you're here, you're just looking at your face oftentimes. And yeah, I mean, I think it really helps in the voiceover booth too because, when you're, if you're just talking, it's not as big of a deal. But like if you're actually doing like action efforts in a video game, grunts and dying and stuff like that, it helps when you use your whole body because if you're just faking it up here, people can tell. They're like, that doesn't sound real. You don't sound in pain if you're going from the neck up. It's a full body experience, and at least it helps me anyway. So I think that's why I really fell in love with motion capture is because it kind of took me back to where I started. So fun.
Yeah. I mean, like everybody gets their start somewhere in the
Hmm.
industry.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So once all of that fell into place, like, did it take like a while for you to finally to find your groove, or did it just come naturally? Because I know for the motion capture you've mentioned earlier, it's like, oh, what is motion? So I think that part is kind of like it kind of took some time to really digest. But for everything else,
Mhm.
like, was it organically, or did it still take like some time to,
Yeah,
find, you know, a
yeah,
rhythm?
yeah, yeah. No, no, I hear what you're saying. I think at its base, and this goes for everything, theater, on camera, voiceover, motion capture, anything, at its heart, you're an actor and you're there to tell a story and to entertain the audience. And that's the basis of everything. And sure, everything has its own like nuances. When you're in a volume, you have to be aware of things. You have to wear the suit. You have to not block markers. When you're in a voiceover booth, you want to not be so close to the mic that you're just popping the mic all over the place. Or, so there's specifics in everything, that you have to learn and is definitely a learning process for anybody. The technicalities of it. At its heart, it's acting. And the better of an actor you are, the more you do it, the more classes you take, the more you immerse yourself in it, the more you actually fully, like 110% commit to whatever it is you're portraying or the emotion. You're not just pretending to be happy or sad or whatever. You actually feel it literally in the depths of your soul. I am so heartbroken at this moment in time. And it just comes out. And it's just allowing yourself to go on that journey. So I guess at its heart, it's just being an actor, and then you can learn the technicalities. If you love it, you'll learn it. And I don't know if that answered your question. I also ramble, so it's great.
Totally. I mean, it's all good. It totally does. I will. So it definitely did took you some time to, learn, the ropes as you went along. Who are some of the people who, I mean, who would you say are like, they really helped you along the way that you find to be like an inspiration or an influence, like the people that are just absolutely instrumental on helping
Yeah,
you alongside your path?
yeah. Motion capture specifically. Well, I guess going back to the very very beginning of the motion capture journey. my manager, Matilda, she is amazing because she kind of introduced me into, hey, is this the path you'd be interested in? And then I just fell right down the rabbit hole and never looked back. So I'd say her first and foremost, because, without her, I probably wouldn't have pursued this, or it would have taken me longer to find it. After that, I got hooked up with the mocap, the mocap vaults. I swear I get paid to talk. The
I'm about.
mocap vaults. I know, right? Yeah, the mocap vaults out in LA, run by Richard Dorton, and he is phenomenal at just helping people, meeting people where they're at, pushing their limits, making them better, and he loves motion capture and he loves to share it with other people and all of his experience. So he's been amazing. Pascal Langdell, he is actually head of the mocap vaults out in Canada, and I have done some really fascinating study with him. Laban technique, which is technically a dance thing, but it's great for movement in general. And he has a psychophysical technique that is absolutely mind blowing. And that I think really has helped me like look at characters and how to develop characters and not just think about, the basics, but like get under their skin and give like those goosebump performances, if you will. And then Victoria Atkin. I recently did some classes with her. I just got off a couple weeks ago, a month ago, with her doing her course, and she's just great. I love her, and she brings in some awesome coaches and directors and casting directors. So that's been fun too. So I think those are the current ones that come to the top of my mind, specifically motion capture wise. So they're all fantastic people with fantastic, you know, they just love what they do, and you can tell that when they teach you. You're not like, it's not those teachers where you're kind of like, oh, you're just here. They truly love what they do and they just pour it out into everybody, and it's those are the people that I want to be taught by, the people who love to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and talking about, of course, the reason, strikes and everything that's been going on, like, I know there's been, negotiations, there's been talks, about AI and everything else. So I'm
Hmm.
just, yeah, so this is kind of definitely a lot of information. I usually don't, because I know that with the strike, it's like on my podcast, I usually talk about like, like video, like just fun stuff. But, every now and then you kind of have, it's like, with this going on at this present moment, it's like, it's kind of hard not to bring it up at this point. But
No, for sure.
I, yeah, so my own 2 cents real quick. It's I'm hoping for positive change. Like, like we've been through strikes before, and I know that this one seems to be like, I mean, I think when you really start working in the industry, it's kind of like it's definitely can affect you, like in a way, like for example, like um I know if you're in SAG-AFTRA, like you're unable to accept work that is like, for the companies that they're striking against, or if you can't take non-union stuff, which is definitely there's like a lot of gray areas that is involved here. So I mean, I'm not the expert when it comes to talking about like, what goes on at SAG or WGA or any of the companies that are being involved here. So um I know with you, because I know you've done motion capture and you have worked on a couple of, projects that are um I mean, just to clarify, I mean, you've done projects that are like affiliated with SAG. I just wanted to double check to make sure before I continue.
Yes, I am not currently SAG-AFTRA. My agency in Colorado is a SAG agency though, so I
Okay.
do, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, just
I know a bit.
yeah, so I know that it's still like it's ongoing right now, so we don't know exactly what how the outcome is going to be. So I'm just kind of curious to hear your 2 cents on the whole, strike and, everything else like with AI and et
Yeah,
cetera.
yeah. Well, I would say the nutshell for me, Victoria
Yeah.
Atkin just interviewed Zeke Elton, who's on the SAG board and represents, like, I think he's on a motion capture committee and he's on a bunch of different committees. So he actually is, I would say for me, like the best resource because he's there, he's in all of the talks. So I'm like, if I have questions, I look at him, I look at his social media pages because he puts it all out there. And yeah, I mean, I think, they have my full support, the Writers Guild, SAG-AFTRA. I mean, I think it needs, yeah, I mean, obviously this needs to happen. There needs to be some serious changes and discussions and my biggest hope is that it happens quickly and that there's a lot of positive that comes out of it. So, because I don't think truly anyone really wants it to go on forever. I mean, we keep hearing like the rumors and stuff like that, but I mean, most people, I'll leave it there. Most people don't want this to go on, a super long time. So my biggest hope is that it's resolved quickly and it's resolved really well and benefits all the performers, all the writers, and everybody affected. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
In, um, and like I said, who knows where it's gonna lead, where it's gonna be heading in the future, but let's just hoping for a quick,
Yes.
type of resolution. That's all I
Yes.
could say. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm also, um, I can't help but notice because I actually just interviewed like one of the head chairmen for National Association of Voice Actors. If you want to see
Mhm.
the one with Lindsay, which is up on YouTube, that's part of
Yeah.
my blah blah blah. Yeah.
I love
Oh,
Lindsay.
so yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It was just kind of yeah. I was like, with this going on, like we literally recorded it on. So I'm not sure what time they officially started to go on strike, but we were just talking. I had her on that morning, and then literally later that afternoon, it was announced that SAG went on strike, and I was like, wow,
No way.
perfect timing. It's the
Yeah.
timing, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yes.
literally, like, wow. So you
That's
just never
crazy.
know. Like, that is so crazy, right? So it's like, yeah, we were just kind of like, so there's been a lot of discussion going on, and now everyone's officially boy. And I uploaded
Yeah.
it that day, so it's like, hey,
Yeah.
gotta find something. If people wanted to learn more info about it, just
Mhm.
watch my interview. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's why I just point. I'm like, I know this person knows stuff. I know that person knows
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm like, go talk to them.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, get it straight from them because they're like right in the middle of it. So they'll give you the most
Yeah.
accurate, up-to-date information and yeah.
Right. I wanted to ask you, like, since you're a part of like, management of voiceover like agencies and whatnot, and you can also mention Nava, how's it like getting to be a part of, all these, wonderful organizations and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, I don't manage any agencies or, I'm not on any boards or any of that.
Okay.
But I'm a part of I'm a part of multiple agencies and Nava and stuff. And yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. I love that Nava has started. It's offering healthcare, which is massive because most people, don't have access. I mean, let me back up. A lot of voice actors I know still have to do jobs because they need the health insurance. So when Nava came out and they're like, if you want to do this full time and your only holdback was the insurance, here is that. I mean, they're doing fantastic stuff. They've done AI writers. So they've done basically an AI contract that you can add on. So when a client comes to me through an agency that's like, hey, we want to hire you to be the voice of this commercial, I can be like, great, here's my addendum to the contract. And it's just Nava's made this great sheet that's basically like, you won't ever copy my voice and just use it, is the very basics of it. So they've provided stuff like that. They provide classes and they provide all the up to date information about what's happening in the industry. So I'm like, there's so many good strides and there's so many good people. And I mean, that's the thing about voiceover, motion capture. Like, it's big communities, but very small and tight knit communities that at the heart, it's like we're all helping each other. We all want to see each other win. And that's what I really love about this industry is it's very much like, how can I help you? Let's all get together and let's do things. Let's help each other. Let's get better together and let's make it better for those that come after us. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, especially with Nava, I know that they're doing a lot of new stuff that's been, you know, at least being put into effect right now. Don't quote me on this. Um, but for Nava, like talking to Lindsay was just really wonderful because she gave a lot of insight about um, how it's going to affect them or how it's going to affect the industry moving forward and just a lot of discussions like of course we had to geek out about some stuff but most importantly like we were just talking about the latest whereabouts and what's going to be the right course of action and apparently something like this needed to happen because
Mhm.
there's just a lot of like this can be really unfair. Like, let's just be real. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of, shadiness and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's just really important to, just be aware and just to stay alert.
Yes.
When it comes to, wages and whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things.
Oh,
Really
totally.
all the things.
All of the stuff.
All
Um, Let me see. Um, I was just kind of curious, like, what if you like to refer or recommend shows, like,
Mhm.
if because I know that people sometimes we can consume or watch media either just
Mhm.
for fun or just to study on the nuances of acting or et cetera, et cetera. Like, what would you personally recommend? Um, like, you can kind of mention the stuff that you've worked on if you want to,
Yeah.
promo stuff like that. But what would you say are like what would you give like, a list of media that
Okay.
people can check out? Whether it be books, movies, games,
Okay. All of it.
if
Um,
you have your own resources. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Lord of the Rings. I adore Lord of the Rings, the book and the movie. I love creature performing, creatures and monsters. I absolutely love doing so. Smeagol Gollum is, quintessential to motion capture and just Andy Serkis's performance, really in anything that he ever does, is just so amazing. Um, so I mean, I would say that that's the first and foremost, like at the top of my list. My favorite book is The Hobbit, so that's always a really good one. I really enjoy watching David Tennant and Edward Norton and a lot of the stuff they do because they do so much subtlety in how they act, and I just love the super complex characters that they get to play. Um, as far as like for me personally, like if I really want to get into a character, music. Music is one of the best things that gets me like super into a character. I need to be, and nowadays you can find like music for anything. You can find ambiance for anything. If you need to do a Walking Dead, you need to be a zombie, throw on a YouTube zombie, you know, um, ambiance in the background and you're going to start talking and moving different when you're hearing these like you know zombies in your head. You're going to move different, you're going to feel different, and that's a great base for starting a character, or dropping into a character, especially if you're sitting in a Zoom room waiting for a callback and you're just sitting there going, oh no, when's it my turn? Drop that in and it gets you grounded really fast. um, yeah, I think those are my top go-tos, I would say.
Yeah. And what's your process of auditioning for anything? Just out of
Mhm.
curiosity. Yeah, auditioning
Um,
101.
yeah. Uh, so character auditions, I, if possible, I like to read all the specs, think about it for a little bit, and I really like to sleep on it if I have time to sleep on it. Um, just because I feel like the back of my brain, like the wheels are turning constantly, and I start to think about stuff. Like even as I'm just going throughout my day or in the night, all of a sudden I'll be like, washing dishes or something. All of a sudden I'll be like, oh my gosh, I think this character does it like this, or you just start like processing it. So yeah, I guess I would say my process would be like going through all the directions, making sure I know, who the character is, any of the background information. I'll do a script analysis um, that I've been taught, like that's really great at breaking down and finding the nuance and finding beats in a script. Um, I'll memorize the lines straight, so I don't try to add like emotional content to the lines while I'm memorizing them. I try to just memorize it straight up. And then then I can add all the emotional content and stuff later. One of the things Pascal Langdell taught me is how to do approach and avoid for a character, and that is like making a list of important things to your character, and that can be anything from, um, like my character is addicted to coffee in the morning, so coffee might be on that list. I'd also put enemy in there. And then I would put, maybe the boyfriend's name is Bob and Bob's on there, and maybe I have a sister named Kelly, and you just make a list of important things and you listen to those words and you decide if you're going to approach it or if you're going to avoid it. And when you do that, you go by your gut instinct, and by doing that you're tapping into like your gut reactions and you're finding out stuff about your character. This is probably a horrible way to explain it, but it really really helps me personally, like be able to like figure out my character, figure out motivations, figure out just random stuff about my character that may not make it into the script, but it helps all that, like, you know, that bottom layer of your character and makes the character more in depth than just, hey, it's me pretending to be this other person and saying lines. So I kind of do a lot of different things depending on how much time I guess I have. And I guess if I have no time, the biggest thing I do is I pick out their biggest dream and their biggest fear.
Man, that's actually a really good way of looking at it. Picking out their biggest dream and biggest fear. Wow.
That came from Andrea Toyas. Yeah, love her, absolutely love her. And yeah, that's what she said. She said if you ever don't have time, biggest dream, biggest fear, because it changes how you do a scene. It really does. So that's that's the fast hack. But I always do that for a long one too. So obviously there's, and not every day will I do everything, that I kind of mentioned. I mean, obviously some days I have a ton of time and I'll do a lot of different things to it. And some days I'll be like, I don't feel like that today, and I'll just kind of pick and choose what I feel.
Yeah, everyone, we all go by our, we just kind of go by, go with our paces, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, taking each day one step at a time. But
Exactly.
yeah, I think I'm gonna steal that from Andrea. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Let me
Love
see.
it.
Since we're approaching the end, let me see. Um, Anything that you've been picking up as of late, like any hobbies or any like
Hmm.
anything that
Yeah.
you've kind of been dabbling into alongside, the motion capture, the
Hmm.
acting, just anything in between.
Yeah. I recently learned how to juggle. I was on a
Yeah,
set.
juggling. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, with some friends who all do circus, and one of my friends owns a circus company, and yeah, they taught me how to juggle. I can now juggle, not fabulously, but I can juggle. Not fabulously yet. I am practicing. So they taught me how to do that, and yeah, I'm doing some stuff with them here in a little bit, doing like character performing and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to get to kind of do that type of stuff again, some interactive performing and stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, just I've gotten into a lot of Discord communities recently on kind of like all the different things and playing around with new tools and just um, finding ways to do fun things with people, train, but make cool training videos and doing just doing fun stuff and doing projects for me for fun, if that makes any sense. So those are the big ones. So.
Yeah. And in spite of all the struggles and day-to-day, like, challenges and stuff, like when we're like in our own little world, just like all of it just kind of really pays off when you think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I
Totally.
know I know that we all have our good days and bad days, but most of all, we're still here and just we just want to act. We just want to play pretend and we just want to do all this crazy stuff and sometimes get paid for it, but we just want to be weird and wacky and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So at what point in your career, like it could be a project, it could be like an affirmation, it could be anything, where you get to do this for a living and it's like, wow, I'm actually really glad I chose this. I get to wake up every day and do this acting stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid. Like, at what point was it like, wow, this is why I love doing this every day?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point in your life where it just kind of clicked
Hit.
for you?
Yeah. I have two different points that happened. The first was, I acted in theater as a kid, was told to grow up and get a real job, did, finally found my way back into acting. And it was at that point when I first got back into acting, I was like, I realized it just hit me that I was like, it feels like coming home. It absolutely feels like coming home. And then the second point would be the first time I started doing motion capture. I was just there and I was like, I may not live forever, but I'm like, I can live 1,000 lives in the span of one day. I can be a monster. I can be a hero. I can be a villain. I can be, a tactical expert. I can be, a swamp witch, all these things and still make it home by dinner time. I can live 1,000 lives in one day. And I'm like, that kind of feels like living forever.
Yeah.
You get to experience so much and live so much. And I mean, nothing feels better than kind of like just giving it your all and leaving like your soul on the floor at the end of the day. Kind of like a really hard workout where you just walk out and you're like, I can barely walk out of this gym, but you feel so good. And that's that for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can share your social media, just and yeah, give a plug to any upcoming projects you're doing now. Any last advice or words that you want to close us out on? Just it's all fair
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Okay. You can mostly find me on Instagram at Tara Jade Fox, and I dabble a little bit on LinkedIn, but not very much. So Instagram is usually where it's at. Um, yeah. And I guess last thoughts, I guess I would say don't quit your daydream. If I think for those of us that act and love it, whether you can make a living at it or not, don't quit. Just be fun, be crazy, be weird, do whatever you want to do, find a group, do it by yourself, whatever, but just don't stop doing what you love to do just because somebody tells you you should. You should always follow your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of something, but honestly, yeah, take it from her. Thank you, Tara, for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. We ended up getting like some pretty good discussion for like what, 30-ish minutes? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so if you want to check this out, it'll be up on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere else. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. All the links will be in the description by the time this goes up. And anything else, just do it. And I guess on that note, I will see you all next time, and stay tuned for more Station Square. And I'm Robert Jackson, signing out, and until next time, toodaloo, bye bye!